I'm Lee Iridium. Hope you're doing all right today. Another album review. So, never heard of this band. They popped up somewhere that this album was coming out, and I just listened to a little snippet of them, and I thought, yeah, that's a bit of me. So the band's called Black Swamp Water. They formed in 2011, this band. This is their third album. They're from Denmark. Now, it's a bit weird how they're from Denmark. They don't sound like they're from Denmark. There's a lot of bands out there in there from these European countries that just surprise you with their sound. And these surprise me tenfold. They're sludgy, hard rock with like groove laden, often chuggy riffs. For fans of, I would say, Sabbath for sure, Blackstone Cherry, early Blackstone Cherry, Down, those sort of southerny sort of bands. A little bit of Skynyrd thrown in there for the southern part, but absolutely great band. This is really for fans of that southern metal with a bit of doomy Sabbath chucked in as well. Now when we're talking about the band Down, obviously Phil Anselmo fronts that band. You haven't got to worry about screams or anything like that on this, although I love Down and I love Phil Anselmo. You haven't got to worry about that. This is all clean vocal. Although the vocalist has got a real rawness about him, it's all clean vocals all the way through. Bjorn Nyholm is the vocalist. Like I said, he's got like a roughness about his voice that really suits this sludgy southern sort of music. You've got Kim Jensen on the drums, him and the bass guitarist, or I think it's Freppe Birch Fries. Easy for me to say. They're great. They really lock in well on this sort of music. It's got that rawness about it, like I said, and that sort of stoner feel, if you like. You could say this is part stoner. I don't actually know what the fuck that means, but I think it's that sludgy sort of sound that you get. And then you get the guitarist, Martin Hansen and Jen Gert, I think it's pronounced. So two guys do an amazing job, and their guitaring really suits this music. You know, they're not going off on a lot of twin lead solos or anything like that, but they've got a sort of, the whole band has got this sort of southern sort of rawness about them, and I love it. I love it. And it's not all, it's well produced as well. It sounds really cool. Everything's really heavy in the mix, and the guitar's up. It's a good mix on the album. But there is a definite sort of roughness and rawness about this, and it is cool. It just suits it perfectly. So I'm going to go through the tracks one by one. If you're into those, like I said, those bands I already mentioned, Sabbath, Blackstone Cherry, early Blackstone Cherry for sure, Down, you know, those sort of bands, this one's for you. Starts off with a song called Roll Over. Great song to start off with. Heavy, sludgy riffing throughout this. Got a slight sleaze about it as well. I mean, I did write a slight sleaze about it, but you know, don't get a lot of that on this album, but definitely a touch of it on here. This was a single. It's a great start off to the album, Roll Over. Next up is Showdown. Another strong track. This one has a lot of great groove. This is like a medium pace song. This one has a real southern feel, especially in the verses. Reminds me of the debut Blackstone Cherry album, which had that rawness about it. That's what I miss about that band. They've sort of lost that raw sound. This has it. This really brings on those southern feels in the solo as well. It's just, I love a bit of southern music, as anyone knows, and this has got it. It's hints of it in some songs, and it's real, you know, that's the main feel in some songs as well. Endless War is the third track. This is a more chuggy, faster sort of song. More metal, I would say. More towards the metal sort of side. Has double kick drum as well. Some very good drumming. Like a sort of a thrashy, sludgy stoner song. A bit strange. I know that mix is a bit weird, but it's true. This one will please the southern metal fans for sure. Next up is Send Me Away, a really strong song. This one really brings those southern rock feels to the forefront. This right to the forefront. Heavy, dense, southern ballad, if you like. It sort of slows right down. Love the song. Better Days is next. This one loses a little of that southern feel, but it's in exchange of a more sort of straight, heavy rock sort of sound. A great groove on this one though. Another heavy chug going through the song. Disappoint Me is next. This is probably my favourite song on the album, definitely one of them. Those Sabbathy, sludgy riffs kick this off. Almost an Alice in Chains feel as well going through it. Has a real dirty, grimy feel to it. Absolutely great. Love the band when they hit that feel. That southern, dirty, sludgy sort of sound. Absolutely great. Well, I did say they were influenced by Sabbath. The next song is a cover of Children of the Grave. Sabbath cover, obviously. This stays really true to the original. The guitars are obviously where you get the modern production. They're a bit heavier in the mix, I would say. You know, they hit you a bit more. But it's a great song, Children of the Grave, anyway. I always say I prefer to hear original material. I do. But I can understand a band getting, you know, one of their main influences out there and wanting to cover a song. It's a great rendition, Children of the Grave. Now That I Know is next. This carries on that sort of Sabbath 70s sort of feel, the sort of a little bit bluesy sort of feel to it, slightly bluesy feel. I suppose a bit like off the first album when they were more of a bluesy stroke doomy band. This reminds me of that, Now That I Know. Hammer You Down is next. Real standout track. Back to the southern vibe, bit of a party vibe as well to this one. You can imagine it being played sort of in some sort of bar like in America that's a real dive, you know, and them just playing here like, you know, it's a very cool song. It sort of gives me those vibes, and that finishes off the album. Actually, it's only 9 tracks, comes and goes just like anything, and I think sometimes that's the main thing now. You know, I know that bands sort of fill up their CDs and, you know, they do 14, 15 tracks sometimes. I think they're getting to learn, bands now, to cut it down, cut it back a bit, because a lot of reviews or a lot of negative feedback comes from albums being too long, filler if you like. There's no real fillers on this album. It's all great. I probably would have preferred another original song instead of Children of the Grave, but even that was a great cover. So like I said, this is really recommended. Come out of nowhere for me, and I think it was just on some YouTube channel that I keep an eye on releases, and it gives you every release every week, and it's popped up, and I thought, well, it says the sort of music it is, and it got it right. It was southern hard rock or something like that. I thought, I'll give that a go. And it's a hit and miss sometimes, isn't it? But a real hit here. Really glad I discovered this band. Black Swamp Water, really cool. 3rd album, like I said. So if you want to go back and listen to some other stuff, great band. Really highly recommended. I'll see you next time.